Hello, my name is Igor Andrade, and I'm an intern at the Spady Museum. And today I'm with Dr. Joan Cartwright, and she is an exhibit curator who has worked with the Spady Museum before. Hello, Joan. How you doing?
Uh-huh. How are you, Igor? I'm great.
I'm great too. So, what do you exactly do in your job?
Wow. I am the founder of Women in Jazz, South Florida, which is a nonprofit organization that promotes women musicians. Now, you can see the artwork behind, and I have artwork all over my house from uh, where I taught children about women in jazz. So I gathered this artwork, and I used to have a gallery in Fort Lauderdale, and some of the work that was there and created afterwards by artists that were there became my tools to teach children about women musicians. So I have a nonprofit organization that is an educational organization to teach children about music and women in music specifically.
So, what did you exactly do with the Spady Museum?
I did, well, they allowed me to exhibit the artwork that I have. So I had a lot of art of women singers, blues and jazz singers, and some of the men like John Coltrane, if you've ever heard of him, Duke Ellington. So I think there were about 25 or 30 pieces in the exhibit. Okay. And then I gave them the stories of the ladies. I went in once a month and I did a lecture or a Q&A with people who came and visited. So I was telling the stories of my life in the world of jazz, which began over 65 years ago. Yeah,
Mhm.
longer than that. I don't want to give away my age.
Right. So, which degree did you study to be where you are? And for the people who want to know how to get into it, like which one would you recommend for them?
Well, I studied communication. Okay, I also studied music. So I had a dual bachelor's degree,
Oh.
but my master's degree was in communication. So I learned about branding, marketing, advertisement. So, with that knowledge, when I went for my doctorate in business administration, marketing, you see, a lot of people just stay in one field, but I'm a musician, I'm a communicator, I'm a professor, uh, an entrepreneur, I'm an educator in different forms.
Mhm.
And I believe that it's kind of like stock. You don't buy one stock, you
Yeah.
diversify your portfolio. So I would never tell anyone, oh, we'll just go for marketing.
Mhm.
No, I think you should diversify your education. Some people know that they want to be a doctor, but you have to focus on one field now. Didn't used to be like that, but now you do. So maybe a psychiatrist doesn't know anything about OBGYN, you know?
Mhm.
But it used to be that the medical people work together. It's not the same now. They're specialists. Well, I would suggest to any young person, learn what your passion is. My passion was music. And then 35, 40 years later, my passion became women in music. So now I'm the publisher of Music Woman magazine. But I also diversified to have Music Man magazine. You see, so
Yeah.
you don't just stay in one little box.
But what's the approximate pay range for your position?
Well, see, I don't work for Spady, but let me say this. I do lectures for Spady, and it depends on what their grant will allow. So sometimes I might get 250 for an hour. Sometimes I might get 500 for the day. You know what I'm saying? Or if we do a program, uh, it's a great range. So there's no set salary for what I do. I'm just a guest speaker. Like Friday, I will no Saturday, I will be at the Arts Garage. Uh, and I'll get a stipend, but I get that through my nonprofit.
Mhm.
It's a donation to the nonprofit, and I just come and speak. So it could range anywhere from 250 to 1500. It depends on what the circumstances are.
Mhm. How much of what you learned did you learn after you started working with your organization?
That is a very, very interesting question. I have to think about that. Well, the thing about life is that if you are a lifetime learner, you learn something new almost every day. So my skills at having knowing the computer, knowing how to create letters, forms, you know, business plans, all of that came from my experience as a legal secretary. Okay. So that didn't have anything to do with me as a musician. Okay. So music and knowing an instrument, knowing music theory is an entirely different set of skills. But my interest in the history of the music led me to researching women musicians throughout the world. So, this is a long answer to your question, but it all came together in the nonprofit.
Mhm.
You understand? All the things that, I was a legal secretary, so I know how to draft legal documents. I know how to do contracts. I know how to write grants. Well, these things, writing came from being in the corporate world.
Mhm.
Music came from being in the music world. And when I combined those two, because I was a band leader, so I did all the marketing for my band. You should go to joancartwright.com. If you Google me and you see me singing, you hear, I've been on 5 continents in 23 countries performing. So that was the music world, then the corporate world. Then I come together and I say, there is a problem. Because for 34 years, I worked with hundreds of musicians in Europe, in the United States, in Mexico, and I only worked with 6 women. So I said, well, where are the women musicians? Now I have an organization of 387 members, 60 9 of them are men. Now, the rest of them are women, but only 230 of them are musicians. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So 200 of them are women musicians, maybe 30 of them are male musicians. So what did I learn? What I learned that I can gather people together and make them understand the importance of women's music, because women only earn 12% of the $40 billion music industry. 12% women earn. That is very out of balance. The reason is that women do not use the tools of business. You know, women are kind and giving and caring, but they don't know how to negotiate their funds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they negotiate a marriage with a man that has money,
Yeah.
but they don't handle the funds. You understand? It's the same thing with women musicians. There might be one woman in the band. She gets her money. She goes. She doesn't know anything about uh, contracting a gig and, you know, getting paid and paying other
She's not
people.
really in the business.
Or the opposite, the woman is the leader. Nobody helps her. She does everything by herself, which has been my experience and the experience of a lot of women that I know. So, you know, it's a business. It's called the music business. It's called the art business. You understand? So, musicians are very poor at business.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
But it's much like writers and visual artists. You know what I'm saying? It's art. Art creative people use the side of the brain for that's artistic,
Yeah.
but the side that is common sense, practical, doesn't get used much.
Yeah. So they get used by someone who has the practical one.
And they get used and used and used.
Yeah.
So I'm like the person in the middle that tells my singers, don't work for free. Do
Yeah.
not sing for free. I got a 64-year-old friend. Oh, well, I don't mind singing a song. No, don't sing for free. You devalue your gift.
Why did you choose to work with the Spady Museum?
Spady Museum is the only Black museum in Palm Beach County. Now, I mean, longevity. There might be a new one going up, but Spady has been there. Now, my grandfather, Spady's on 5th. My grandfather's house was on 10th. And so many, many years ago, before we sold that property, I took a photograph to Spady of my grandparents. And that's how I began to know Charlene. But Charlene's mother knew me from when we were kids swimming at Pompey Park. Okay. But, you know, our lives went in 2 different ways. So we didn't see each other until we were older. And Charlene and I are also affiliated with ASALA, which is the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. And it's located in Washington, D.C., but we have a chapter here. So we were holding meetings at Spady, and I just love to go to Spady. And then when they did my exhibit, I put the pictures of it in the magazine.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This was Dr. Joan Cartwright, the exhibit curator. Thank you so much, Joan. I appreciate it a lot. I love the talk.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.